Hey guys, Mike, IronTrap Garage, and we are on another adventure. Not too far this time, we're only just in New York, just over the PA border outside of Corning, New York. But this is stop number one of, I think we have to make 3 stops on this trip in New York. We are at a local business called Engines and Transmissions of Corning, New York. Specializes in just general automotive repair. They do some pickup stuff. This killer Ford F-250 4-door. Matt was drooling over that, but they have a bunch of early Ford stuff inside that they purchased from a local estate. They kind of did a clean out. We're going to dig through, see what we can find, and then we have to make 2 more stops outside of Syracuse. So let's get to work, see what we can find. All right, so stop number 2 for today. We're up near Syracuse at a storage locker. A gentleman's father collected cars his entire life, restored a bunch of cars. Unfortunately, he passed away. The family sold a good majority of the collection, just left with parts. So we're gonna empty out his storage locker of parts. There's all kinds of stuff, Graham, Cadillac, Buick, some early Ford, some Mercury. So we're gonna empty it all out for him, get it all back out there into the world. The family kept a couple cars, so they don't need any extra parts. So let's get to work, get that loaded, and then tomorrow morning we have our final stop. So get a lot done today, so let's get to work.
All right, so we just got back from our trip in New York, and it went pretty smoothly, not fully how we expected, but we're gonna do some unloading here. We'll show you guys some of our favorite stuff we got on this trip. And Moon is, as always, very excited. Oops. I know, Moon, I know.
This might be Moon's favorite time inside the truck.
I know. Yeah, Moon, we got all kinds of junk in here. Look at all this stuff. So we're gonna unload all this stuff and get it out and see what we're gonna keep, what we're gonna sell, and we'll go over everything with you guys. All right, so we got the truck unloaded. Not an insane amount of stuff as other times, but there's definitely, for quantity, there is some pretty neat smalls in this.
A lot of variety too.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of variety. That second stop was a little bit of everything, so that really added to the mix. So we figure we'll go through. We'll talk about a little bit of stuff we have. As always, people seem to like to see the treasure hunt, you know, the bounty at the end. So that we'll show a little bit of what we got and talk about how everything went. All right, so at our first stop in Corning, we stopped with Kyle at Engines and Transmissions, and he basically bought out a collection of old Ford stuff. It wasn't really his wheelhouse, but it was a deal he couldn't pass up. He was smart enough to buy it all, move it all, and like we talked about, everything sells. He moved everything, the good, bad, the ugly. So, which was good because he didn't really fully know everything. So he grabbed some stuff that some people might leave behind. It was pretty interesting. This is one of those things, he had a lot of puzzle pieces. So this was a full set of sub rails that is actually for a 26.7T. Really hard to find. It is almost completely rot free. There's a little bit in the floor pan here, but the wood is still good. Like, there's still pieces of wood that aren't rotten. Pretty incredible to find T sub rails. I mean, it's hard enough to find Model A sub rails that aren't totally rotted to pieces. But he had these T sub rails. There was a bunch of pieces of T bodies, so I don't know if that gentleman that owned the stuff that he bought, if he was trying to piece a car together and he found this underneath the car that was hit or something. Don't know, but super solid. We grabbed it because I know how hard it is to find that, especially this rear section back here where the turtle deck or the bed sits. Incredibly hard to find. I don't know T stuff really good, but I kind of feel like this is either roadster pickup, roadster, or maybe coupe. But either way, to have this, that it's original metal and exists, you could just blast this and put it in a car. It's really good. And I think with all the 32 stuff being so expensive and 33.4, guys are always looking for T's they can put together. And not having to build that substructure, I don't believe it's reproduced, you can grab this. So we're going to sell this because you'll see in a little bit later on, I got a whole T-body over there. So I don't need that right now.
There's also a pickup bed outside as well that we grabbed.
Yeah, there's a kind of solid but rough pickup bed. The wood is all gone. The rear cross member has rusted, but the tailgate's there. The sides are good. It's a good savable one. They just get a little floppy when they're only 3-sided. But we grabbed that as well because people are always looking for pickup beds. The T1s are a little shorter, so that's always good if you're building a Model A or a hot rod. You want a shorter bed, you can use that. So we got that. Both of those items will be for sale. We'll get into a little bit of weird stuff from the storage unit. If anybody needs a 71, 72 Pinto NOS rear bumper, there is one. There is a door skin for...
I don't know. I have to run the numbers.
We don't know what it is, but it's in a GM box, so we have to play that game again. With GM parts. All these bins are filled. I only pulled a little bit of stuff like that's literally all different headlights, taillights, interesting things, more smalls.
Stainless. We got an insane amount of stainless.
Yeah, there's a lot of stainless that's in there. The gentleman who owned the stuff in the storage unit originally, he was buying and selling and wheeling and dealing much like we do, and also he was getting cars restored and buying stuff for those cars. So some of this stuff is like priced, like he was taking it to swap meets to sell. He said his father, it's kind of funny, he was telling how his father did it, and we're like, that's what most of us car guys do. He was like, he would get up real early, go to the swap meets when the vendors were just setting up, he'd buy stuff for cheap, and then he'd move it to his booth, and he'd charge a little bit more money. So that's why a lot of this is priced. There's even stuff I saw where he scribbled out the price and wrote a higher price on it. So kind of funny. But there's some neat stuff in there. NOS Pontiac trim. There's like some Crown Vic trim, I think, in there. Mercury trim. There's a whole box of 4950 Merc trim. So kind of a wide variety. But the good thing is most of it's identified. Stainless is really hard, and almost all of it's identified. There's even some weird stuff like 37 Cadillac LaSalle hearse or flower car trim.
Yeah, coupe flower car, I think it was.
Yeah, it's like would we have ever known that originally? Neat Model A, Model T stuff. There's some, I guess you call that garnish.
Yeah, door garnish molding.
Door garnish molding, surrounds. 26.7T Roadster open car windshield frames with the stanchions. The stanchions are probably the hardest thing to find, I feel like. Original ones are usually rotted and broken off. They're all complete. So we grabbed both of them. I knew we were going to be getting that 26.7 Roadster. I didn't know if it was going to have anything. So I kind of grabbed them so I could get the pick of the litter and cut it down for myself. The hot trick on those is you cut them right above the pivot for the bottom half of the windshield. And then you can take the top half of the windshield and move it down. Or you can cut it and weld it, whatever you want to do. But you cut it out. So most times on the hot rods, they were taking the bottom half of the windshield out. Or top half, whichever you prefer. So nice to have both of those complete, so you can do it however you want. We got some we got some Harley chopper stuff that was mixed in from the estate. They said that the other brother of the estate from the stuff in Corning said the guy was into motorcycles, so there was like some homemade, sissy bars. There's another one we'll show over there that's really bitchin'. We kind of just grabbed them because we were telling Kyle, who we bought this stuff from, it's like, I feel like the old motorcycle and Harley stuff and chopper stuff is much like the old hot rods, where it's like, if you got an old crappy bike and you want to make it, have equally crappy custom parts, like this is the same as getting like homemade wishbones or hairpins from an old hot rod that are chrome. It's like you steal wool and put on a bike and it would look correct. So some of it's not super old, but it was cheap enough we just grabbed it. So Model A coupe and associated garnish molding, the rear quarter for a coupe, which is hard to find. Door garnish, there's a rear window here. That stuff's always hard to find, so we grab that anytime we can get it because a lot of cars are missing that stuff. More hubcaps. I feel like we find these all the time, the Guide 682s. Those ones have the little rounded lights on the top, but like every, good percentage of hot rods run those style of lights, so anytime we can find them, especially when they're old black paint.
Including that one. Right back there.
Oh yeah, I put that set on that. I don't even know if I have a spare set right now, but we may sell them. We should sell them. Should think about it because I'll end up keeping them. Otherwise, again, some little random Harley stuff, but we got like all these rear brake shoes that were in a random box. I think it was just somebody being frugal and saving old brake shoes, but what we need is all the arms. A lot of times when people are doing juice brake conversions, our customers are calling us and they're like, I got backing plates, but I don't have the e-brake levers or the adjuster, any of that stuff for the inside, the guts. And I don't know if they even reproduce any of that.
I don't know.
I don't believe they do, or they're hard to find. So we get requests all the time. So it's like, grab the e-brake arms, grab all those to have hardware on. So we'll take all the arms off. The old shoes that are falling apart we'll just scrap. But we just grabbed all those while we were at it. Really neat. These are all not built, but we got all these old hot rod model car boxes that are in great shape. So I don't know if, I'm guessing the gentleman had built these and he was smart enough to keep the boxes at the very least. Who knows what happened to the models, but we got a bunch of these little deuce. So they had some really cool ones that Kyle kept that were actually the Ed Roth ones. He had a bunch of them, really Mysterian, and I forget a bunch of other ones, but they were really cool. But at least he left some for us to scrounge through. So that was really neat to get those. We got some old magazines, like again the motorcycle stuff. This is really cool. The Enthusiast magazine, June of '41. Like, this stuff's really neat to find. Unusual. I feel like a lot more people were buying hot rod magazines in the 40s and early 50s than these magazines. All right, so this is just some of the
your key pile. Don't lie.
No, actually not. Only a couple things in here I'm going to keep. So these 37 LaSalle or CAD LaSalle gauges are really neat. There's a set of 3 that are original that are pretty good candidates for restoration or preservation. So I'm going to keep those. I was thinking about changing the gauges in the 38 convertible. They might be a good possibility for that. Not sure yet, but they're really cool with the cream faces and the kind of Art Deco numbers on it. So I'm going to put those aside for someday. Might sell the spare Speedo. So that I'm holding on to. This is really cool. A pump plate, old one, 20 cents a gallon. Old metal frame with the glass. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if it has a date on here. Visible price flag sales. Oklahoma. Very old, obviously. He paid $20 for it at some point. A very long time ago. So that's the only other thing I'm holding on to. These are like World War II era marker lights. So they basically shine the light forward so a plane couldn't see the vehicle from the top. You see the hooded marker lights a lot of times that are the same way. So those are pretty cool just because of how unique they are. We found these, which are super cool. They're old water slide decals. Old moon eyes, Cobra powered. And then the surfer skulls. So just 28 cents in Nichols Discount City. They were on sale. So these are very, very cool. Brooklyn, New York. Their water slides are kind of hard to reuse. A lot of times they deteriorate when you try and use them. But even if you pin them up on the wall, they're kind of nice. So I may keep one set, the Moon Eyes maybe. I don't know. I have some spares and we'll sell the rest. Not quite sure yet, but those are, the stuff that's really, really hard to find. These are all different stoplights. So lenses for different stoplights. This one's cool. It's all raised in the back. So you can see he was selling it at the flea market, $35. I don't know if that's a good or bad price.
Not sure.
Not sure. We'll have to find out. But this bag's is full of all these different ones. This was kind of neat. I was looking this up actually before Mike came back to film. I think it's a 50s or 60s era John Deere implement paint can, a metal paint can. It's kind of like, you don't see the John Deere stuff as much because it was a lot of times used on a farm and they just threw it away. They didn't really care about that. So kind of neat. It's actually mostly full.
Do we need to paint anything green?
We could, but obviously very collectible because John Deere stuff, much like old Ford stuff, is highly sought after. There's a bunch of sets of these 46.7 Cadillac taillight lenses. These are just complete ones, but there's a box with like a ton more. This is pretty cool. I may hold on to this for the house. An old atomic doorbell switch. Might need Mike's help to rewire that for my house, although it might not be bad. We don't know, but
I can make it work.
That's super cool. These were neat. These were in the bottom of a box. I didn't really see them that well.
Bunch of heavy shit on top of them.
Yeah, unfortunately. But these are old. I don't even know what brand this one's like a plastic.
This one says Auburn on the side of it.
Yeah, but the brand's usually underneath, but it's like Auburn. But it's cool, even though it's missing a wheel, you can put it on the shelf like this. Super, super cool. Obviously, we're gonna look these up if they're like insanely valuable or collectible. We might pass them along. I'm not that big of a toy collector, but like if they're not worth a lot of money, we'll probably just put them on the shelf. Maybe at the mill we'll use them. This one's, oops, dropped some spare wheels. This is an Irwin, but little race car. Super cool. So even without wheels, they're kind of neat. The axles were basically just like pieces of metal, so we could use some different wheels if you wanted. And then this one's a little panel truck, I guess like a Chevy panel truck. Irwin again. So even when they're messed up like this, it's still good to put them on the shelf. I know the crazy collectors frown on that stuff, but like, if you just want something for, you know, shelf things, it's really good. And there's some other cans.
So there's one steering wheel here, and you put another one upstairs
Yeah,
already.
I always mess up these videos. I get all excited. So I got a, it's like a Crestliner. I think it's the same as the one that's in the Sweetheart Roadster. It's like 53 or 54, I believe, Crestliner steering wheel. There was a pretty decent used one there. Not perfect by any means, but good for a survivor car with the horn ring. Drop a photo maybe in here. And then we got this Mercury wheel. Mike actually found this. Really good shape. We haven't steel wooled or anything, but like it's not all broken. So anytime we can find a good steering wheel for any old Ford that isn't totally broken, it's so expensive to restore them. And a lot of people like us are putting survivor cars together, so this is a good candidate for that. So that's that. And again, there's a bunch of like 50s or late 40s Buick gauges in there, more taillights.
Skirts, we got like
Oh my God.
12, 14 pairs of skirts.
I don't know how many, but they're mostly all marked. They're all 50s and late 50s and 60s era. Might even be some 70s in there. With the storage unit deal was we had to clean out. We had to take all the car parts. He was going to get rid of the trash. So even though that's stuff that we normally wouldn't take, we purchased everything. So we just took it. This is kind of unusual or hard to find. It's an aluminum 32 to 34 pickup windshield frame. I don't think anybody else reproduces them. Someone was making them in aluminum. We've had them before. They must have been a popular thing. You know, people must have been selling at Carlisle or whatever. So there was a little bit of 32 to 34 pickup stuff in the one area in Corning. So I'm guessing that gentleman was putting one together at some point in his life. Model A gas tank that's actually in decent shape. It's not all rotted out. It needs to be clean, but it's not rotted out. We grabbed that. Generator. This was pretty cool. I rarely, this actually might be the first time in the wild. Not at Hershey, I should say. I've seen them at Hershey. It doesn't mean it's super valuable, it's just hard to find. This is 26.7 T Coupe deck lid.
Yeah, this wild.
The swoop in it is,
Back to
you know,
reverse curves.
Yeah, so this is like really hard to find. Again, it's crusty. It's not real, you know, it's not great, but it's savable. And that's the big thing. If you put together, this is a very hard part to make, you know, yourself. I could probably cobble my way through it, and I'd feel like I'm proficient. So I think a normal guy, especially if you're building an old hot rod or something, this is one that's hard to find, so you can fill a hole with it. And you could repair it. You could just throw it on like it is and zip screw it in place, and at least it covers the trunk opening. So that was cool to grab. Back there is, what are they, 41 Buick skirts. I don't know if we got both of the pieces, the spears, but we got.
I know we found one. I haven't found the second one yet.
But those are, you know, obviously 41 Buick stuff is pretty good. There's actually a bunch of 41 Buick stuff. He must have had a convertible and a convertible sedan at some point because we see parts are marked. There's actually some NOS 41 Buick stuff floating around in one of these bins. These are just tires. Again, more headlights, taillights. This is unusual. We don't normally like to take glass, but this is so rare. So it's 57 Ford retractable hardtop rear window. It's curved. We didn't look into it. We were discussing this might not be reproduced. So
the other thing, it's got the stainless trim on it.
Yeah.
So even if the window is reproduced, I'm sure this stainless is worth some money. So.
Yeah. So we grabbed it. The agreement was to clean everything out. We'll see what everything's worth. Even if we got to pass this along for next to nothing, if nobody wants to buy it, at least we saved it and it didn't get scrapped. Lincoln Continental era caps, those are good. He had a 40 Mercury at some point, so there's actually some 40 Merc taillight trim, hood emblems, nothing really crazy, but there's some stuff. Some Graham hubcaps. Anybody need some Graham hubcaps? We got some.
The dude had like one of every style kind of car.
Very eclectic collection throughout his life. There is a set of, well, maybe I should pull them out because they're really cool looking.
We wrapped them up like a newborn baby.
Yeah, they're kind of rare. This was probably the highlight. This bedding smells amazing. It's got whatever softener detergent they were using. It smells really
Was that in that storage unit?
Yeah, but it smells like grandma just washed it. It's great. Anyways, these are, I believe, what he said was 32 Imperial, Chrysler Imperial headlights. So they're in pretty decent shape. There's some bangs and dings on them.
I think we got one of those buckets, an extra bucket.
Yeah, but the lens is good.
You can tilt it up so I can see the...
You can see how it's peaked. even the glass is peaked like that. So incredibly hard to find. Kind of a valuable. It smelled good.
I just got a whiff of that.
It's like really pungent.
Yeah.
Like really nice dryer sheets.
Well, you know it's strong if you can smell. You can't smell anything.
I can't hardly smell anything. So, we somehow between multiple estates got a pair of 2670 Roadsters.
Greatest thing ever. I love when that happens.
It almost never happens. We usually buy something, we'll get two at two different places, and they're the same side, or three of the same side. There is a pair of 2670 Roadster doors. Pretty hard to find. We had a pretty rough set that I scored somewhere at a swap meet this year, and they were like mudded up and not in fantastic shape. And
they were
sold.
Perfect. Don't lie, they were so nice.
They were perfect. I hope you didn't tell the new owner that. But anyways, we knew those are good, so we hold on to them. This is just full of Buick. It's mainly all Buick trim and different things, a little spotlight. So we'll go through all this and identify and see what it is. Some F1 and F100 steering boxes we got. Maybe that came with the T-body. This is pretty cool. So one of the family members in the Corning stuff that they bought was in the motorcycle. So this is an old kidney belt. Super cool. Just neat to find these. This stuff I feel like is very rare to find in the wild anymore. You see it, maybe at a swap meet and a guy got it or something like that and is reselling it. But I feel like I found this actually, there was like a little doctor's bag and had a bunch of really old stuff. Had some of his military stuff in it, the gentleman whose stuff it was in there. I also found in one of the boxes this really cool, like belt little deal here. But just a neat thing. Again, we've gotten into like where I'm going to start picking some of this vintage stuff that's not necessarily car parts, because a lot of states like this, we see this stuff. I know it was good, but we were so focused on car parts, I was trying not to spread ourselves thin. So Kate's been helping a little bit with some of this, cleaning the stuff up and helping to get it sold. We also have Luke now, who he's going to have to learn fashion. And but the coolest thing as far as this kind of stuff goes, these are, I'm going to guess 1940s era Montgomery Ward engineer boots, brand new, paper still in them, like crazy cool.
I wear size 12.
Yeah, there you go. Ward's Powerhouse, they say in them.
That's so cool.
But really cool. Obviously, they have a little bit of mold on them that can clean off with some leather cleaner. But to see these, like somebody bought these in the 40s or 50s, and they never wore them. And they never took them out of the box. And luckily, Kyle was smart enough that when he was picking, Kyle picked these up and didn't let them just sit. So really cool to have these. I mean, I can imagine this is, in the world we're in, finding, I don't know what this would be the equivalent of. It's like finding an old leather jacket like a hot rodder would have or something or whatever. But when we found that, that's kind of exciting. I've never found old motorcycle boots, like dead stock as they call it. So this was pretty cool stuff. Underneath here is a crap ton of taillight lenses. So we didn't even remotely go through any of that.
I know what Luke's doing on Tuesday.
Yeah, he's going to be going through and identifying all of this stuff. So it is, oh wow, that is crazy cool. Yeah,
wow, that is.
It's actually made into the light. That's wild. Okay, no idea what that is, but that's cool. And there's even a hubcap under there.
Oh,
so
perfect.
These bins, we didn't really go through them like really crazy, like a ton. We just kind of like just peeked around. But we'll be going through all that stuff. There's some 41 convertible window frames and stuff in there.
Set of 15-inch wires.
Oh yeah, sure. These will be for sale. These are a set of 15-inch wires. Two of them are adjustable spokes and they're a bit wider, and then two of them are, I think they're like 35 wires that somebody turned into 15-inch. But they're matching red paint. They're all the same tires. They were set off the same car. Not my thing, so we'll be selling those. So if you're looking for something with radials already on them, they're ready to go for your car. Oh, Cadillac hubcaps, also good. I want to show this. I'm probably what I'm most excited about. I found, and this is like the year of planishing hammers for me. I hunted for ever since I worked at Eastwood, I was looking for Waterville, Milwaukee, CP, any of the really good quality vintage planishing hammers, and I could never come up with a full setup. I had all these weird ones that weren't as good, and I sold them. And then earlier this year at Brimfield, I found a Facebook ad. I bought a Waterville and a Ram's Head, and then we go to this estate in Corning, totally unrelated, and on the shelf is I ram's head planishing hammer, actually in really, really nice shape. I was pretty surprised, like everything's free and it's oiled. So I'll be seeing if this all works. I'll do whatever we need to do to get it all freed up. The other ones I bought were really rough, and I was able to get them freed up. But it was neat. We found this little Egyptian cigarettes tin that the guy was keeping his dies in, and these ram's heads ones are pretty neat because it was like I don't know if it was, I guess it was their, gimmick or design, but it pops on and the die actually swivels. So the reason that's good is when you're using a planishing hammer on a car and you get in a weird shape, the rigid bottom die, if you don't turn the hammer with the shape of the panel, they're so strong that it'll actually put a line in the panel. I've done that a bunch of times with my Repro Milwaukee hammer I have, and it is extremely frustrating when you do that. And then you have to planish it back out and hammer and dolly it. So with this, they had this design where this head actually swiveled, so it gave you a little bit of room for error, if you will. But he had all these dies that came with it, and I only have like one die. And there was an extra hoop. Super psyched on this. This is probably more rare to find in the wild than car parts, because this was a body guy, old time. See you later. This was old time body guy stuff. So really cool to find this. I'm stoked to have it, and I'll probably just keep them. I mean, everybody needs 4 planishing hammers.
Of course.
So, but what honestly, to be truthful, is it's really good to have multiples now that I found them, because I can keep certain hoops in them. It's kind of pain in the butt to change hoops around. So one of these hammers I might keep for small work. That's more for smoothing. One for stretching. I have it. Why not? It's not, tools are hard to get rid of. So I grabbed those. Really stoked on that. Stromberg. Everywhere we go, we got to buy Stromberg 97. This light fixture we got also, which is cool. And then that's neat. Ford Guest. This is my keeper area. And then these are chrome stanchions that are for the T-body. And we'll kind of talk about. Oh, Jesus mighty! That was almost.
Yeah, don't lean on that.
That was almost really bad. Jesus, man. God, my life flashed before this. So we'll talk about the last little bit. So we went to New York with a guy that we kind of were mutual friends or acquaintances with. He showed some interest in doing like a partial trade deal, where he was interested in the 34 coupe, and he mentioned he saw our videos and mentioned he had a 26.7 T Roadster that was on 32 rails that was somebody already built the frame and sectioned it, put the K-member back in, and made it all fit the T-body, which was what I was going to do. So I had already sold that other T-body because I was, not fully happy with it. Not because of the seller, just because I felt like as I started driving it, I was going to end up having to cut into it anyways, and it just wasn't worth it. So I figured it'd be better for me to start with something that's dry. I fix it up, and I just do my own body work and paint on it instead of something that is a little unknown. So we got this. This thing was actually mocked up in the guy's garage, gentleman's garage, and because of his place being so packed with cars, we had to disassemble it in the front room. He has an old dealership that he bought, and we had to disassemble it in the front room, carry the body up over like a boat,
a shoebox,
a 32.5 window, might have been a Cadillac in there somewhere too.
Yep, and a Chris Craft.
And a Chris Craft. Yeah, so that was pretty fun. So we disassembled it. We carried it had a Calibran quick change that was already, put together. That was under it, a 32 heavy axle. It was just mocked up, so it was pretty easy to take apart. So we got this all apart, and basically he was trying to sell a car that he was going to use for the extra money to buy this car because it's more expensive, and the person he was dealing with kind of flaked out on him, so it was the timing didn't work. We were not on the right schedule, so we ended up bringing both cars back. He was nice enough to let us throw this in the truck because it's very difficult to have both these vehicles on one trailer. We were just lucky enough we had the bed space and we disassembled it. He had an open trailer. It would have been very hard to do that. So we put all the pieces in, we crammed everything in and ratchet strapped it, and we got it all home, which is really great. I'm very happy that this is something he had sitting. It wasn't really for sale, but he saw that I was looking to build this. So I was really happy to get this. It's a good jump start having the frame all built up like it is. It saves me some time. They were going to do a flathead V8. I'm planning on putting the Riley 4-banger in this swap. This is what I was planning all along. So I can just add the motor mounts for the Riley 32 banger engine, and with having the K member already sectioned, I can just bolt a trans in it and we can kind of build everything up. So pretty exciting. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but we're probably going to see a video in a week in the life of where I'm going to mock it up for fun, put a drop axle on it.
Next week.
Maybe next week. Put a drop axle on it, put some better wheels and tires and stuff on it because it had those wires on it, and whatever else. But that was kind of my big keeper. That's why my keeper part was very small, because we had this. So that's a quick little sneak peek. As always, if you guys are interested in anything you saw today, send us an email, irontrapgarage@gmail.com. Otherwise, just keep an eye out on our website, irontrapgarage.com, and you may see this stuff going up. Also, check our Instagram, IronTrap Finds, Finds, because Mike posts stuff almost daily during the week there, and some of this stuff will be going up for sale pretty quickly so we can make some room, because every time we buy, we fill the floor and then we don't have anywhere to work. So we gotta get this stuff picked up and moved along. So thanks for long. Hope you enjoyed this little quick adventure to upstate New York. And as always, we'll catch you next time on the next adventure. See you guys.